In this video, we're going to begin to talk about how to play Euthia. Unfortunately, the rule book for Euthia is quite complex and large. So in today's video, we're simply going to discuss the basic actions for how to play. This is going to be the movement, mining, trade, and combat actions. At the beginning of your turn, first of all, you're going to make sure that you have refilled your 3 tokens here. If you have any left over from the previous round, say you chose not to spend this one, you would tuck it over there, and then every character should have 2 sets of all of their tokens. You can save up to 1. You're also going to refresh any actions that you have, or any items that you might have used, and any gems that you have used. So for example, let's say in my last turn I had a combat and I used magical barrier. I would simply get to flip this upright so it's available to be used this turn. Also, this gem here, the fact that the gem side is up, that means I used it last turn. I would flip it up to, in this case, the green gem is +1 luck. So I could, at any point, spend this. I would flip it over on my turn to gain +1 to a roll of my choice, and then I get to refresh it all at the beginning of my turn. On your turn, let's say we're just starting here in the church, you can do one of 4 things essentially, and then there's a number of free actions that we'll talk about in a different part of the video. But the 4 main actions that you can take are to move. You can take the mining action, which is this one here, this symbol with the pickaxe and the hammer. You can take the trade action, which is this symbol here with the scales, and then the combat action, which is the 2 crossed swords. All of these 3 actions have a certain amount of movement that comes with them, so you can choose to forego that action this turn and use it instead for its movements. You'll see there's a line running through each of these 3 discs. So if I wanted to move 1, I could spend this token, I'd pull it off, and I would get to take 1 point of movement, but that means I don't get to take the mining action on my turn. So this is a very interesting part of the game. You have to think about, well, what do I want to do? Now, sometimes there's going to be items that you can pick up that are going to grant you movement, or maybe they'll grant you an extra mining action. So you would tilt those to take that action. But for the most part, especially at the beginning of the game, you just have these 3 tokens and that's it. So let's first talk about movement. Say I want to travel a good distance and I don't want to fight this turn, so I'm going to spend my 3. Now, other than when you start in the game and then any other time you come across special tiles where there's a big picture in the middle, for the most part you're just positioning your hero on one of the 3 areas of the map tiles. You always start, however, in the church, and then just to move from here to there or from here to here is 1 point of movement. As you're moving, anytime you come across a exposed edge of the map, you need to stop your movement and fill it in with the top map tile. So you would fill in like this. Or let's say we spent our 3 movement and went 1, 2, 3 and ended up way over here. Well, in this case, we would need to fill in up here, and you just keep filling in until there are no exposed edges on the hex that your character is on. If at any point in time you need to stop your movement to take another action, to take combat, to reveal tiles or anything like that, the game comes with these tokens here, which are double-sided, 1 and a 2. You can use this to help you remember, oh, I still have a point of movement left. Stick that on your player board or somewhere nearby to help you remember that you can continue your movement if you so choose once you're done placing out map tiles and things like that. So that one's pretty straightforward. The trick, though, is that if you want to enter one of these areas with the the enemy symbol, the wolf head with the swords, you need to be able to spend a combat action at the same time. So you need to spend a movement, spend a token for movement, and spend your combat action to be able to, say, move into this one space here. I would need to spend 1 point of movement, and then I would need to spend my combat token, because as soon as you enter this space, you'll go into combat with, in this case, it would be a level 1 monster, so you would draw the level 1 monster card, and you're going up against a venomous spider in this case. Let's talk about the 3 actions, starting with the mining action. So, as long as you're either in a mining space, there's no lakes yet, but you can see here on this token tray here, these are the 3 areas you can mine. You can mine a mountain range, a lake, and then a cave system. This is going to be level 1 tiles, level 3 tiles, and then 4, I believe. This is 1 and 2, 3. So you're not going to really see many lakes or caves on level 1 tiles, I don't think. I haven't come across any. But as long as you're either on one with no enemy on it, or if you have cleared an enemy, like this one, you can then mine on this spot there. To mine, you would simply come up here, you would draw the top tile from that region, and you would add it to your player board as long as you have space available of one of your open sacks. In this case, if you take this to a place of trade, you can trade it in for 3 coins and 1 experience point. Once you have mined a location, you need to take one of your character tokens. These are double-sided, one with the elemental and one with the mining, and you need to place your token there to just say, all right, I've mined this location. You can no longer mine it again for the rest of the game. When you're playing multiplayer competitive, if somebody else wants to come by and mine here, they would need to pay you a coin because you already have your token there. If you happen to have a item, for example, this one here that has the, let's pull that off, looks like a little mine cart filled with gold. This means that you can use this item to draw 3 tokens off the top of the stack, and you get to pick 1. So that symbol allows you to better decide what am I going to get. So here I would get 2 of these purple ones or this blue one. This one's getting me more coins. I could also get 2 and 1 gem. Here I'm getting 2 purple gems. So a lot of these decisions might come to decide, well, do I have anything that can take a purple gem? Is there any encounters out there that would accept purple gems? If not, then I'd probably take this one. Whenever you do take it, though, it's got to go into your pouch, and you don't get what's at the bottom until you've taken the trade action. So let's talk about that next. The most obvious thing you are going to want to do when you take the trade action is buy and sell items. So anything that you have, say, carrying in your rucksacks here, for example, this, whatever this stone is here, or you could even sell your gauntlets if you want to. You can sell those for the price that's in the parentheses. So you can see we mined this resource that came from the mountains, so it doesn't have a buy price. We simply purchased it for 3, we got it and we can sell it for 3. Whereas these gauntlets here, you can see we bought for 4, and if we turned around to sell them, we would sell them for 2. So you can sell anything you so choose. You cannot, however, you can sell gems if they're sitting on your player board like this down here. You cannot sell a gem if it's attached to a gauntlet. If you sell the gauntlet, the gem goes with it, but you can't just pop the gem off and sell it. Then you can use that money and any money you've accumulated to buy from the specific location that you're at. So currently we are at this location, the red market, so we can only buy from this column here. If we make it to a purple alchemist location, we could buy from this column, and then the Dragon Slayer Tower, we can buy from this column. And as you can see, the things you can purchase there tend to increase in value. Certainly the Dragon Slayer castle being where you get the really nice stuff, but also the very expensive stuff. If at any point in time during your trade action you don't like anything you see in the column, you can, for one free action, take everything, discard it, and fill out 4 new fresh things. You can continue to do that, but it's going to cost you, but you get 1 for free. You can simply purchase whatever you want, and then it's going to go into your player slot here. So things like boots would go into boots. Things like gloves would go into gloves. You'd have to sell this one to put it into there. Things like necklaces would go up here. And then things, helmets, things like these, potions and scrolls and stuff, are going to have to find a spot in your rucksack here. So most characters, and unless you open up additional slots, just have 3 slots. So let's look at some of these things here that we could purchase that would go into those slots. First, we have things like these 2 potions here. These are one-time use items, and you would simply say discard this one. You would buy it for 2. You would then discard it to get 2 movement, or if you turned around and decided you didn't want to use it later, you could sell it for 1. Or this one, you can discard for 1 move action, or explore 2 monsters. That means you can flip over the next 2 monsters and see which ones they are, and you can choose to put them back or put them on the bottom. Maybe you see something you don't like. Or there's, say example, this chest. This chest simply contains 2 gems, a green gem and a red gem. You could immediately turn this back in for the gems depicted, store the gems in your gem slots, or you could walk around with this. I guess if you already had all your gem slots full, but you really, went through gems quickly, you might just store this, and then at any point you can discard this and get the gems. There's also sets of armor. So not a whole lot of sets here, but you can see here's 2 pieces of a green set, here's 2 pieces of a yellow set. If you are collecting pieces, you will be able to activate this necklace. Doesn't do you any good unless you have 3 sets of armor, so that's what this triangle means. Then you would get -2, or 4 sets of armor would get you -1 to the attack. So that's what these symbols here mean with the shapes that look like, to me they look like the little middle school projects where you're like building atoms and stuff like that with marshmallows and toothpicks. That's what they remind me of. Anyways, you can purchase. You can also purchase health. So down here at the bottom, you can spend 1 coin to heal for 5. Here you could spend 1 coin to heal for 8, or here you could spend 1 coin to heal for 12, or purchase a GAR token. Again, only at the locations that you are at. Last but not least, these are not things that you can purchase, but I just wanted to show you these are things that you can mine during the mine action. These are things that you would want to sell. You don't immediately, when you mine, you have to have room to store these in a rucksack. And then you have to take them to a place to trade in order to sell them. And when you do, that's when you get to choose. This one doesn't have a choice. You would just sell this for 4. Unless there's a quest that wanted that exact same thing. Or as this one, you could sell it for 4, or you could get half that and get part of it back in a blue gem. Or there's even ones like this one. This one comes from the level 3 mines. They're 2 money and 3 experience points, or 5 money and 1 wind essence or air essence. So that's how those work, but those you would trade in on a trade action. So a lot of stuff you're going to have to be able to carry around. 3 slots is not a lot. So let's now take a look at the other thing that we can do during the trade action, and that has to do with our player board here. So let's just say, for example, we have been playing the game and we have advanced our token to this 7 spot here. Everybody's going to have a shield of their character on this XP track. This is the round tracker. This is the XP tracker. And every time you pass over a book, your character is going to have the opportunity to level up. But you don't get to level up until you take a trade action. So, along with spending your money on items at a location, you can also spend your money to unveil hero traits. That simply means taking the stack of hero traits up to where you have reached XP wise. So in this case, I can take all my hero traits 2, 3, 4, and 6 and choose one at each level. I then have gained those hero traits. I don't have to unlock them in the future. I will have to possibly pay to train for them and find a spot to place them on my board. So first of all, real quick, you'll notice that these 2 3s here have the little skull. That's because they come from the expansion, and you can add them in. There's just no book on this location, but for the sake of showing you, I just pulled them all out. So let's look at these here. Our level 2 ones. Contemplation. This is a passive effect. You get 1 heal for each move point used. That's a pretty good one. Or we can choose the Merchant. So this would have to take up a slot over here, but every time we buy, we get our items for -1, and we can twice refresh the market row, or down here, sorry, twice instead of just once. We would have to choose one of these, and once we choose it, then it just kind of goes over here. We're just going to put it off to the side for right now. So let's look at some more. Here our level 3s are offering, so we could pay 4 money to gain 2 XP and 5 heal, or we can get a rune stone, teleport to a place of trade, or we can use it to gain a Gar token and 3 money. So again, we would choose one, we put it over here. Let's look at these again. So these two are both attacks essentially. This one we can use once per attack because we would have to exhaust it. This one's a weapon, so maybe we want to upgrade our weapon. And then last but not least, we have here's one that allows us to go for 2 movement or haggle. And we'll take the 2 movement one. All right, all of that, since we took the trade action and this is as far as we had gone, all of that only cost us 1 coin. Pretty good deal. If, however, we had only crossed here, we would only looked at the 2s. And then next round, say maybe we got 2 more XP and we moved here, we would have to go back and spend another coin just to look at just the now 4s. So sometimes it behooves you to gain a certain amount of XP, then go take the trade action and get a whole bunch of stuff at once. But once you have unveiled your hero traits, you can then choose to put them on your board. But some areas are not unlocked until you have paid for them. So these 2, for example, don't cost anything to train. And if I have an open slot, I could simply put that one right there. You just have to make sure that this little symbol here matches this symbol here. So most of these are the little action symbol, but like this one has a ranged attack on it. So we can put that right there. We could also decide to put this one here. We either have to pay 4 coins or a earth element to put this one here, or we could just put this one off to the side and do that. All of this flipping around and maneuvering stuff can be taken during the trade action. Like I said, a lot of stuff happens on the trade action. Once I have unlocked these slots, they are unlocked. So if I want to take something off, I can immediately put something in the future. They don't give you anything to cover up any of these spots to say, hey, this slot has been unlocked. You just have to remember, most likely if you're pulling something off, you're putting something on of any of your unlocked slots. However, these last 2, these 2 actions or this weapon and action, they need to be trained. So we unveiled them, we got them for that 1 coin, but now we would have to pay 4 to train in our lunar staff. Think of it as paying someone to train you in your lunar staff. Once we've paid our 4, then we could stick this in a slot with the sword symbol. There's only 1 on this character, so it would have to swap out our staff of light. We can hold on to the staff of light if we want, or we could sell it for 1 coin. But for right now, we just stick it over there. So, as part of the trade action, the buying and selling of stuff makes sense, but you can also unveil hero tiles, train abilities, which means you're paying the cost, and unlock hero slots and or equipment slots. In this case, you would pay 1 coin to unlock her ability to wear a helmet. But again, all of that can be done at the trade locations. So trade locations and trading are very important in this game. It's how you upgrade your hero, both on the XP side and the equipment side. Last but not least, we have our combat action. Combat action means that you not only, again, remember you have to spend a movement to move on to said space, and you have to have your combat token that you want to spend. And any space that has one of these symbols here, for example, this is a level 1 monster because it's got a single sword through his head, as opposed to up here, this is a level 2 monster with 2 swords, and as you can tell how a level 3 monster would look. So you have to be able to spend the movement and have the token to spend to enter combat. But once you have done that, what you're going to do is draw the top card from the associate deck. You can see on the back kind of some basic stats or ranges of what the monster might entail, and also what it's going to give you as a reward. But we're going to flip this over, and we have revealed a venomous spider. So the first thing you need to look at is, does it gain any additional silver cards? Nope. Does it gain any chaos tokens? It gains 2. And does it gain any Gar tokens? All right, so it gains 2 chaos tokens. I'm just going to put those up here, and it gains 1 Gar token for it to use. All right, and I'm going to put it right there. Now that we've revealed our monster, we have the opportunity to use any first strike attacks, or if the monster had first strike, it would go ahead and attack us. But I don't have any here. Let me see if I could find one real quick. Here, for example, is a good one. Here is Gem Shatter. So this is a first strike ability. It's got this lightning symbol. It has to go into your slot. I would actually have to take up this slot to do so. So let's just say, for example, this one is here. During my moment of first strike, I can use Gem Shatter. That's requiring me to actually discard a gem. So I would have to say give up. Let's just say, for example, this was down here on my board. I would have to give up one off of there, discard it. Then I would get to roll my 2 dice. I'd roll them out. I would get a 9. So that would tell me 2 damage plus -3 to their roll. All right, but it's got to be first strike. You have to have some sort of weapon or ability or action that has that lightning bolt symbol on it to use first strike. After that, then technically the monster attack phase is going to begin. But there's one more thing. First strike always has to happen at the beginning of combat, whereas this, for example, action has to take place before the monster rolls its dice, but I could save it for like the next round. So let's just say we want to be very cautious this first round. So we're also, we did Gem Shatter, and now we're also going to do Magical Barrier. This one I don't have to pay for anything, but I am going to tip it sideways because I could use it in later turns. This signifies that I've used it and it's exhausted. So I would roll my dice again. I would get an 8. That would tell me -2 to its attack. So I've already done 2 damage to this thing. All right. I'm going to reduce its roll by 3, and I'm going to reduce its attack by 2. So let's, now that we've done all of that stuff, flip over its card. This card simulates a roll for the monster, so it actually rolls really well. It rolls double 6s, but it also tells us that it's going to use one of its chaos tokens. Chaos tokens, it gives it the ability to add extra stuff that we didn't see coming to its attack. Gar tokens it would use to re-roll, just like it always does. But here we have double 6s. There's no Gar token on there, so we're going to skip that. But we know that it's reducing that by 3. So you could either do it in your head that this 12 becomes a 9, or you could tick this down if you had no other things that were affecting the dice, like say, Wind Elemental, which actually we would be dealing with because we're adjacent to one, but we'll get into that. But this chaos token here is very important, so let's move on to that. So in addition to it doing now 9 damage, which is good, this -3 actually took it down from 3 attack to 2, And this -2 attack is negating both of that, but it's throwing in a chaos token. So throughout the game, the monsters are going to be accumulating silver cards. At the beginning of every round, they get a silver card. And every time you get a silver card, they get a silver card. But every time they get a 4th silver card, they trade those in for 1 gold card. These are just better, bigger actions than these. So trading in 4 of these for 1 of these, I guess, is better for the AI. So when the AI goes to take its chaos action, it's always going to look for gold cards first. All right? If it has gold cards, it would flip it over. But let's just say it's got 3 silver cards. It's going to flip over 1. The title of this attack or this chaos is called Enhancement. So we're going to take another card and we're going to flip it over. It says Curse. Those 2 things do not match. So this card would get shuffled back or tucked under the bottom of the AI's silver and gold deck, and we would stop drawing. But let's just say, if I shuffle these a little bit, the next card was an enhancement. Look at that. We've now got double cards of the same name, and I'll tell you why that matters. Then we would stop. All right. This matters because with a single enhancement card, we would be doing this top effect. See how there's a single card there for the 1 chaos token? This would tell us at 6+ roll, which he's got, he's doing 1 additional attack. But since we ended up with 2 of them, we're doing the bottom one here, which is -2 to my roll on an 8+, which again he has, he's doing +2 attack. So that is random, but the reason that you draw and then keep drawing until if you've got a match and then stop if you don't, is to simulate a human, because in the multiplayer head-to-head games or multiplayer games where everybody is for themselves, there's another player controlling the monster, and they may play 2 enhancement cards at the same time to get the bottom benefit if they had them. But so it has spent a chaos token. I like to do this right here, and so now its total is 9. It's doing 2 additional, so 2 + 2 is 4, and it's going to negate 3 or 2 to my roll. I'm blocking 2 of that, but then I'm going to take, let's just say this was here, I'm going to take 2 damage. Boom, boom. That is all on the monster's attack. If it had a Gar symbol, so let's say this one here, and it's a 5 and a 1. If it had that and it had a Gar token to spend, it would spend that, take the lowest die and re-roll it. Definitely improved. And that Gar token is going to give it +2. So it now has 5 + 5 is 10 + 2 is 12. It would then, if it had this card, turn around and spend both chaos tokens. So let's look at how that happens, because it's slightly different. What they're doing with 2 chaos tokens is they're attempting to create 2 piles of these kind of upgrade cards. So let's just say, for example, that it had something like this. It had 3 silver cards and 2 gold cards. It starts with the gold. So it's going to flip over this. Healing, it's going to flip over another one. This is not the same, so it's going to tuck that one at the bottom of its deck. Then it's going to create a second pile. So we're going to start over. We're going to flip over Curse. We would flip over Mind Control. Doesn't match. It would go away. Again, I had another Curse in my hand. There's only so many of these, so the odds of hitting on doubles and triples, is real. At this point, I would have 2 cards that I would have to deal with. Both are just the top level of each one. But this one, this gold one, is going to stay out because it has this little banner here. It's going to give the monster regenerate 1. So it's going to heal 1 at the beginning of every monster phase. So every time it gets to take its turn, this card stays out and it heals 1. Otherwise, these cards can be discarded. But that is what it would look like if it has 2 chaos tokens on the card and 2 chaos tokens to spend. Again, if it didn't have these tokens to spend, if its card up here didn't give them the tokens to spend, they don't take no action with this. But that is how these all of this combination of cards helps create, you know, an opponent for you. And for the most part, the AI is always going to use its GAR tokens to re-roll its lowest die and add 2, but occasionally you do get something like this, Soul Control, where it says it's going to use its GAR tokens against heroes. So instead of using it to benefit itself, it would spend it on me to make me re-roll my highest die and give -2 to my roll. Because I can do that to them. At any point in time, I could spend a GAR token, I could choose a die to re-roll it. There I did worse, but when it's on its red side, this GAR token is -2. So combat is a little complicated, but once you get the hang of it, it moves pretty fast. There is a little bit of math to be done, pluses and lots of pluses and minuses here and there, pluses and minuses to the roll versus pluses and minuses to the actual attack, shields, and so on and so forth. So once we're done with the monster attack, and all of these cards can then go away unless they're ones like this that need to stick around, then we get our chance to attack. So we've used our Gem Shatter, we've used our Magical Barrier. At this point, all we've got left to do is use our Lunar Staff. So we would simply take our 2, we would give them a roll, and we would come up with a 6. That's okay. If it had been less than 5, we would have ticked up She's Intervention. With a 6, we are hitting though. With a 6, we would do 2 damage, and we would give -2 to the monster's next roll. And technically that's enough to kill the venomous spider. So we could stop there. But let's say the venomous spider had 5 health and we really wanted to get rid of it. So we want to try and get to 10 plus. Well, we can spend a GAR token. On the blue side, it's going to give us +2, and we get to re-roll a die. We're going to pick this one. We're going to re-roll it, and that's a 2. But let's just say, for sake, we got a little bit better. So now we have 4 plus 3 is 7, plus the 2 from here. We're at 9. We're still off, but we're so close. We're just 1 away. Well, that's where these gem tokens come into play. This one, for example, the green one, which are luck tokens, give us the ability to +1, and now we'd be at 10. Oh, but wait, this thing was giving us -2 to our roll last time. Oh, so maybe it's worth it to spend another GAR token, re-roll this die again, and look at that. So we would have 6 plus 4 is 10, plus 2 and 2 is 14. It's subtracting 2 from us, so we're still at 12 though, which is 10, so we're doing 3 damage. Boom, we would kill the spider. Once you have defeated a monster, an enemy, you get to flip over the card. You get the reward on the back here, so 2 XP and 1 silver card. And since you get a silver card, the AI pile gets a silver card. You also get the reward of wherever you're standing, so 3 gold and 2 GAR tokens. And you would cover up this monster like so, because you can move freely through that space now. If there was, say, a mine underneath you, or a place to get a treasure like this, or a mine, you could then take that action, especially if it's treasure one, that's a free action, you would certainly want to take it. Once you've collected up your rewards, you can choose to either keep the monster, keep its hide or whatever. To do that though, you have to have an open spot, an open rucksack, and it would sit there like that. The reason you would want to do this is that there are quests in the game that tell you to bring back specific animals or monsters, and you trade them in for money or XP, stuff like that. Otherwise, if you don't want to carry it around, you would simply just put it into a discard pile and be gone about your business. So that, again, is the basic actions for Euthia. That is how you take your movement, your mining action, your trade action, and your combat action. Those are the basic actions. In our next video, we're going to talk about how to take, or what we can do with our free actions. So those are going to be things like encountering elementals, picking up treasure out of treasure locations. What else can we do with free actions? I'm going to come up with them all. They're going to be in the next video, so stay tuned for that. If you've been enjoying this series, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing to the channel so you can be notified when more Euthia content hits YouTube. Once again, thanks for watching. Have a great day.